Big crush on him though. I'll tell you that much.
Did you
still have a crush on him now? No, I didn't. No, I'm really selective about it.
What?
Really. I really like him though. And I don't care who he's dating. I always had a crush on him though.
If he came in right now and we were all not here.
What?
I'm just saying, you're in New York.
Yeah, okay. And what
And you ran into him and everything was right. Would you make that play?
I wouldn't turn it down. Let's just put it that way. The person that robbed me for like $500 for a session ended up being in the studio while I was there with the president of the label.
Who I really want to talk to is Blue Cantrell. Jay-Z worked very hard to erase you and me, just like he did Elle, just like he did his relationship with R. Kelly, just like he did his relationship with Aaliyah. She was definitely blackballed, but she was blackballed for a reason. You made a choice to work with someone and you probably didn't realize how nefarious he was when you got involved with him. Blue, it's time to talk. It's time for you to sing again.
We all know the music industry has a shady side, but Jaguar Wright says it's way darker than anyone thought. She's not just pointing fingers at Jay-Z, she's dragging Beyonce into the fire too. Yep, that Beyonce, the icon, the queen, the untouchable superstar. According to Wright, she's been pulling strings from the shadows, cold and calculated. And this time, Wright's not biting her tongue. She claims Beyonce didn't just benefit from others falling off, she planned it. While Jay-Z gets heat for cutting down the competition, Wright says Beyonce was the one really making moves, quietly, ruthlessly, and without a drop of regret. One name keeps popping up in this mess, Blue Cantrell. Remember her? She had the voice, the look, and a hit 'em up style that should have made her R&B royalty. But just as fast as she came up, she disappeared. For years, whispers blamed Jay-Z for blackballing her, saying he shut her down behind the scenes. But Wright says that's not even the full truth. She's claiming Beyonce saw Blue as a real threat, not just in music, but maybe even in her personal life. Instead of confronting her, Beyonce allegedly moved in silence, making sure Blue's rise stopped before it even started. Total industry erasure, media games, blacklisting, all while fans were left asking, what really happened to Blue? Jaguar Wright isn't done. She says more names are coming. Artists, writers, and producers have all felt the sting of Beyonce's behind-the-scenes power plays while the world cheered her rise to the top. Wright claims that rise came at a serious cost, people's careers, mental health, and even their safety. This ain't just some industry beef. If Wright's words are real, Beyonce didn't just protect her throne. She crushed anyone who got too close. If more claims like this surface, that flawless image of music royalty might just start to crack. Back in the early 2000s, R&B was booming. It was a golden era, fire vocals, bold beats, and artists who were changing the game. And one of those voices, Blue Cantrell. She wasn't just in the wave, she was part of the reason it existed. Blue brought something rare. Her voice, sharp yet smooth. Her energy, confident, raw, and impossible to ignore. When she dropped 'em up style, oops, the world went wild. It was everywhere. Clubs, radios, car speakers. That track wasn't just a hit, it was a whole anthem. And Blue didn't stop there. Her next single, Breathe, came softer but still strong, and it hit not just in the US, but all over the world. Blue Cantrell had everything, the voice, the look, the energy, and serious momentum. Then bam, total silence. No new music, no shows, no buzz, just gone. It wasn't a slow fade. It was like someone hit the kill switch. For an artist burning that hot, her vanishing act made zero sense. Fans were confused, media was scratching their heads. And the rumors, they started fast. Some blamed label drama, others whispered about personal problems. But then the tone changed. Something darker started circling. People began asking, was Blue pushed out? Was this a setup? Jaguar Wright says absolutely, and it wasn't just business. It was personal. Wright claims Blue was purposely shut out, not overlooked, silenced. Behind closed doors, big names may have moved to bury her career, and not for chart positions or radio spins. It was about power, control, and quiet revenge. Wright hints this wasn't just some fluke, it was planned. And Blue, she wasn't some lucky newcomer who stumbled into fame. Nah, she earned it. Before she blew up, Blue had been grinding for years. She built her voice, mastered her style, and fought tooth and nail to get noticed in an industry that chews people up. Her rise looked fast from the outside, but behind the scenes, it was blood, sweat, and non-stop hustle. So when she finally hit the mainstream, her presence was undeniable. Blue Cantrell didn't just show up, she shook the R&B game. Her debut made people look twice, proving she could stand right next to the heavyweights. And she wasn't a one-hit wonder either. Her second album, Bittersweet, wasn't just good, it was a level up. Blue's voice had matured, her vibe was sharper, and her sound felt cleaner, deeper. The breakout track, Breathe, was a monster hit. especially overseas. It crushed international charts and brought Blue a whole new fan base. Even now, the HD version of that video racks up views on YouTube, proof that the track still hits. Bittersweet didn't match the firestorm of her debut, but it still performed. The numbers were there, her voice never faded. Billboard and big outlets were still paying attention. Fans still showing love. People wanted more, but then silence. No singles, no press, no tour, just gone. One of the strongest voices in R&B disappeared like she never existed. It wasn't a slow step back. It was sudden, like someone pulled the plug. This wasn't just another artist with a couple radio spins. Blue was big, chart-topping, globally recognized, and with vocals that could stand against anyone in her lane. In fact, back in the early 2000s, people were even comparing her to Beyonce, and that wasn't something folks said lightly. So when Blue vanished, people were left stunned. Fans were confused, the media started digging, and the internet lit up. What happened to Blue Cantrell? Was it burnout? Did she walk away? Or was something shady going down behind the scenes? The deeper folks looked, the more things stopped making sense. That silence didn't feel natural, and the buzz never truly died. Every couple years, someone rediscovers her music, those vocals, that energy, and falls right back into the mystery. How does someone that talented just disappear? That silence created a vacuum. And now with people like Jaguar Wright speaking out, some believe Blue didn't fade. She was removed. Wright and others say this wasn't some industry fluke. This was a move, a cold, calculated erasure by people with serious pull, a deliberate silencing while no one was looking. At the peak of Blue's rise, there was one name that kept popping up in comparisons, Beyonce. Both were dominating R&B, but Bey had a much bigger machine behind her. And according to Jaguar Wright, those comparisons, they weren't just media buzz, they were personal. Blue wasn't some background act. She had real pipes, serious stage presence, and a don't mess with me attitude. Early on, fans and insiders were already whispering, Blue Cantrell might be the one who could actually rival Beyonce. Vocally, stylistically, she had what it took. And that comparison alone, it sparked serious tension. But according to Jaguar Wright, it went way beyond competition. Wright claims Beyonce didn't just see Blue as a threat to her career, she saw her as a threat to everything. Her image, her dominance, and even her relationship with Jay-Z. Back in the early 2000s, rumors were flying about Blue and Jay-Z being a little too close. Some said they had chemistry, others hinted it was deeper. Nothing was ever proven, but in a world obsessed with image, even talk like that can spark big consequences. And Wright says Beyonce wasn't having it. She didn't want Blue in the spotlight, near the industry throne, or anywhere near Jay-Z. That's when the shift allegedly happened. Doors that had just opened, slammed shut. Media suddenly stopped covering her. New opportunities dried up like they were never there. If Jaguar Wright's story holds weight, then the person behind Blue Cantrell's fall was none other than Beyonce. And it all lines up with a rumored feud that exploded during Blue's rise. Right in the middle of Blue dropping hit after hit, whispers started flying. She was beefing with Beyonce. Now today, Beyonce is untouchable. But back in the early 2000s, she was fresh off Destiny's Child, just stepping into her solo career with Dangerously in Love. At the same time, she was also going public with her budding romance with Jay-Z. And Blue, she had a close connection with Jay too, a friendship that didn't sit well with everyone. As Blue's singles were tearing up the charts, Beyonce was gaining traction, and rumors started flying. Jealousy, tension, and whispers about bad blood were everywhere. Blue always denied anything romantic happened with Jay-Z, but she wasn't shy about how she felt. During an interview with Wendy Williams, Blue dropped a bomb. She straight up confessed she had a crush on Jay-Z. I still have a crush on him now, she said. I don't care who he's dating. I always had a crush on him. That little confession, it exploded the rumors even more. Fans and insiders started digging into everything, especially after Blue began calling out the strange similarities between her songs and Beyonce's. She didn't stay quiet. Blue openly claimed that parts of her work were being mirrored in Beyonce's music, and not by coincidence. Now mix that with the Jay-Z connection, the crush comment, and those musical overlaps, it turned into a full-blown storm of suspicion and rivalry. Whether the drama was all facts or blown out of proportion, it was loud enough to shake the industry. And some folks believe it derailed Blue's entire career. This wasn't about one song or one feud. This was about power, control, and guarding a billion-dollar image. Blue Cantrell didn't quietly fade. According to some, she was pushed. And that push, it may have come straight from the top. Blue didn't just stop with the Jay-Z crush or timeline comparisons. She straight up called Beyonce out. In an interview with The Guardian, Blue took it there, pointing out how Beyonce and Jay-Z's Bonnie and Clyde video looked suspiciously like her own Roundup video, which had dropped first. Blue didn't just make a casual comment, she accused Beyonce of straight up copying her. Imagine pouring your heart into something original, only to watch one of the world's biggest stars drop a near copy and steal the spotlight. That's not just frustrating, it can wreck careers. But that's not where it stops. In Beyonce's song Signs, she sings, "I was in love with a Sagittarius. I've been hurt by a Pisces." Here's where it gets spicy. Jay-Z is a Sagittarius, And Blue Cantrell? Pisces. Coincidence? Blue didn't think so. She fired back publicly with a warning that turned heads. Maybe she's doing it for press, Blue said, but I want her to understand. If she goes there with me, it's the wrong move. She wasn't bluffing either. Blue added, she needs to know what she's doing and what she's getting into. I'm a master at singing. That wasn't just confidence, or that was a shot fired. Blue was calling Beyonce out, accusing her of using subtle lyrics to throw shade while hiding behind the mic. But Blue wasn't playing games. She made it clear, don't test me. Blue wasn't just being pushed aside, she was being silenced. And then came the detail that really got people talking. When Beyonce and Jay-Z welcomed their first child in 2012, they named her Blue Ivy. The name, strikingly close to Blue Cantrell. Some say it's just coincidence, but others, they think it was intentional. A permanent stamp, a quiet way of saying, this name belongs to us now. To some fans and insiders, it felt like Beyonce was rewriting Blue's name, her space, her entire legacy. At this point, it stopped looking like petty artist drama. This was starting to feel like a calculated game, one built on power, silence, and quiet erasure. And Blue, she didn't hold back. She said it loud. And the whispers in the industry haven't stopped since. Sure, Beyonce is the queen on stage, but if you believe Blue Cantrell behind the scenes, it's a whole different story. This wasn't friendly competition, it was personal, and it might explain why Blue's rising career crashed so suddenly. And then came 2004, the turning point. After riding high off hit after hit, everything started slowing down, and it didn't feel random. This didn't look like bad luck, it looked like a setup. Blue's career didn't stall because of a bad album or scandal, it stalled because her label straight up forgot to renew her contract. That's right, the very company meant to support her just let her go, like she didn't matter. And that's when Blue realized something that probably haunted her for a while. She never made anywhere near the money she earned. The betrayal wasn't just about the spotlight, it hit her pockets too. In an eye-opening interview with You Know I Got Sold, Blue opened up about her biggest regret, not learning the business before signing the deal. Sounds simple, but in an industry built on exploiting young talent, it was a lesson she learned too late. I would have gotten my own lawyer, Blue said, because the lawyer I had ended up representing them. Let that sink in. The person who was supposed to protect her was secretly working for the label. Total conflict of interest. Blue said it herself. They were all working together to take what was mine. She didn't sugarcoat it. Nobody really knows the whole truth but me and them, but I was really taken advantage of. Blue wasn't just losing money or momentum, she was getting squeezed out from all sides. The whispers about her connection to Jay-Z and rivalry with Beyonce only made things worse. It turned her into an easy target, especially for those who wanted her out of the spotlight for good. In a 2012 interview, Blue finally opened up about those missing years. She said she had to step away from everything. I needed to take time off, she admitted. Honestly, I spent a lot of time overseas. I was living in London. She needed space, time to breathe. Being an artist is a 24/7 thing, she said. No sleep, no eating, it's a lot of hard work. But that break, it wasn't some relaxing getaway. It felt more like a forced retreat. When the doors close in this business, sometimes you don't walk out, you get pushed. And for Blue, stepping back felt less like a break and more like survival. Now piece it all together. The label letting her go, the financial betrayal, the Jay-Z drama, the rumored tension with Beyonce, the non-stop pressure. It paints a clear picture. Blue's disappearance wasn't just a personal decision or career slump. While Beyonce's star kept rising, Blue Cantrell's story became a haunting what could have been, a cautionary tale of an artist with raw power, swallowed by the machine and the ones guarding the throne. Even after the stalled career, shady industry games, betrayals, and nonstop rumors, Blue never fully vanished. In that 2012 interview, she teased a third album, and she didn't sound unsure. She was bold, saying it would take her straight to the top. Blue was ready to come back swinging, but here's the twist. That album, it never dropped. No official release, no explanation. Whatever was planned, it just disappeared. Was it industry sabotage, another silent block, or something personal? Nobody knows, but once again, fans were left waiting. Then in March 2020, right before the world shut down, Blue re-emerged for a rare performance, and she reminded everyone what they'd been missing. She hit the stage in London during Fat Man Scoop's throwback arena tour, sharing the spotlight with legends like Nelly, Shaggy, Eve, Mia, and Salt and Pepper. It was a full night of nostalgia, and Blue stole the show. The vocals, the presence, the power, it was still all there. Blue's downfall wasn't from one bad move. It was a slow, silent game of control. While the headlines screamed about her feud with Beyonce, Something far darker was playing out behind the scenes, and Blue didn't speak on it, not fully, until years later. The story takes us back to 2003 when Blue was still riding high off her debut success. But behind that spotlight, she carried a heavy fear, one that dated back to when she was just 18, broke, and trying to survive. Before the fame, Blue had done a desperate photo shoot, a move made out of necessity, long before record deals or cameras. But as her star rose, the fear those photos might leak started to haunt her. So she turned to someone powerful, Sean Diddy Combs, hoping for advice, maybe even protection. But instead, she got dismissed. "I told him I was worried those photos might come out," Blue recalled, and his cold response, "I've seen you. You looked good." That moment hit hard. It wasn't just creepy, it was clarifying. Blue realized she wasn't being seen as an artist, but as an object, something to be admired, used, and discarded. And Diddy, he wasn't some bystander, he was deep in the game. Diddy wasn't just a background player in Blue's story, he was central. Rumors swirled for years about a personal relationship between them. Nothing was ever confirmed, but the closeness blurred lines and left Blue wide open. Fast forward to 2024, and Blue finally dropped the mask. She didn't chalk her fall up to bad luck or label drama. She called it what it was, exploitation. And she named names, Jay-Z and Diddy. According to Blue, this wasn't some random series of setbacks. It was a deliberate takedown, a way to silence her, block her from rising, and protect those already in power. Jay-Z, Beyonce's husband, the same man she was once rumored to be too close to, and Diddy, the industry giant she once trusted. Together, Blue claims they created an unspoken wall that shut her out. Blue didn't hold back. She said Jay-Z wasn't the mentor people make him out to be. In her words, he positioned her like a pawn, used her for gain, then tossed her aside. And Diddy? Blue says he was the one who gained the most while she was left behind, pressured, cornered, and ultimately discarded. She says she was pushed into situations with no good options, where saying no came with consequences, and saying yes meant giving up control. And while others share similar stories, Blue made one thing crystal clear. According to Blue, Beyonce didn't just outshine her, she shut her down. By 2004, Blue's momentum wasn't just fading, it was vanishing. Her label deal, gone. Chart presence, gone. Industry buzz, silenced. And Blue insists this wasn't just the music business being tough, it was personal, it was planned. She claims Beyonce didn't just borrow her style or rise like a normal rival. Instead, she moved silently, behind the scenes, blocking opportunities, shutting doors, and freezing Blue out of the game. It started at Arista Records. After 2 strong albums, Bittersweet and The Smash Breathe, Blue should have been preparing for her 3rd release. But instead, her contract was just gone. Not canceled, not renegotiated, just gone, because the label forgot to renew it. That mistake cost Blue everything. No funding, no promo, no support. Her career hit a wall. Later, Blue revealed the worst part. Her own lawyer was working for them. They were all working together to take what was mine. She said a clear conflict of interest. Her catalog got stuck in limbo. Her royalties were mismanaged. The support system she thought she had, fake. And Blue doesn't believe this was all accidental. It felt intentional, like a silent wipeout. Calls stopped, collaborators disappeared, doors that were once wide open quietly slammed shut. And while Blue Cantrell was being frozen out, Beyonce's star kept rising, dominating charts, snatching awards, and owning headlines. Blue says it wasn't coincidence. It was a systematic shutdown, and the people once close to her, they all started aligning with Beyonce. Diddy, Jay-Z, Paul, key label heads, top producers, radio power players, they all helped build Beyonce's empire while Blue was being edged out. And even though Blue kept things polite in public, her message, if you really listen, was loud and clear. She believed Beyonce blackballed her. Just look at the timeline. Blue's 2nd album slips in the US, Arista suddenly forgets to renew her contract. Meanwhile, Beyonce's signing mega deals, stacking Grammys, and landing every major feature. Blue didn't fade with controversy or scandal. She faded with calculated silence. And it didn't feel like bad luck. It felt like a strategy. But what makes Blue's story hit even harder, she never thought Beyonce had to compete with her. Blue truly believed there was room for both women to shine. This wasn't some private breakdown, it was a public unraveling. When police showed up, Blue told them straight up, someone was targeting her. She said her life was in danger. They didn't arrest her, but they didn't protect her either. Instead, they sent her for a psychological evaluation. And the media laughed. Headlines mocked her, no concern, no compassion, just ridicule. But Blue had been sounding the alarm for years, saying she was blackballed, exploited, and pushed out. Now she was saying her life was at risk. To anyone who remembered her claims about Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Diddy, it didn't sound crazy. It sounded familiar. Her experience matched what Jaguar Wright described in her viral videos, how the music industry doesn't just silence you, it destroys you. It paints you as unstable, unreliable, crazy, anything to shut you down. Jaguar even pointed to others who suffered mysterious ends, like Eric Sermon, who reportedly jumped out a window around the same time Jay-Z dropped an album in 2001. That story was never explained, just like Blue's lost contract or the strange Blue Ivy connection. People found it easier to believe Blue was having a breakdown than to accept she was speaking dangerous truths. This wasn't just about fame, it was about betrayal and trauma. Blue Cantrell's story is the brutal fallout of an industry built on power games, loyalty tests, and ruthless silencing of anyone who got too close to the throne. When you trace the rise of Beyonce and Jay-Z, it's hard not to notice a pattern, how other talented R&B women suddenly hit walls around the same time. Mia was everywhere, award shows, tours, huge features. Then out of nowhere, she's pushed into the indie lane. Monica had the voice, the hits, but her radio presence faded just as Beyonce's solo career exploded. And then there's Aaliyah, on her way to dominating Hollywood and music, only to die in a tragic 2001 crash, right as Destiny's Child was rising. Coincidence? Some say no. Many fans and insiders believe the industry funnels power into select stars, leaving others just as gifted shut out. It's like the spotlight shrank right when Beyonce's fame hit full force, and everyone else was left in the dark. So, what do you think? Is this all just timing? Or is there more behind the scenes than we've been told? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like this video if it opened your eyes. Hit subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss a breakdown like this. I've got more stories coming every week, so don't miss out. See you in the next one.